You know, with the advent of the LEGO Ninjago movie, the popularity of the Ninjago franchise is likely going to skyrocket as the theme begins to make its way into the minds of general audiences everywhere. And while nobody knows what the future may hold for the theme at this time, we decided it'd be pretty appropriate to take a look back at this first chapter of Ninjago by highlighting some of our favorite episodes from the Ninjago Masters of Spinjitzu TV series. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. My name's Meso, and welcome to the Top 10 Ninjago episodes. Now, before we get started, as it's been a little while since our last Top 10, let me just reiterate something about this series. These are just our opinions. There's logic to back up why we think this way, as I'll outline through the video, but at the end of the day, this list is pretty subjective. If you have your own favorites that did not make the list, or if you disagree with any of our placements, that's totally cool. This is just our take on things. Kicking things off at number 10, we've got Operation Land Ho, the penultimate episode of Ninjago Skybound. Now in this episode, all the ninja besides Jay have been imprisoned and or defeated by Notakon, leaving only Jay to figure out a way to save all of his friends. Dejected, alone, and with no clear path to victory, Jay takes it upon himself to recruit a team to get his friends back, initiating a wealth of cameos and returning characters that honestly make this episode something special. Skylar, Ronan, Dareth, Captain Soto, Echo, Zane, and even the police commissioner are all incredibly entertaining, and the episode brings some much-needed variety to Ninjago's character dynamics. Moving on to number 9, we've got Art of the Silent Fist, the second episode of Ninjago Rebooted. This episode is significant in many ways. After introducing the resurgence of the Overlord and the concept of the Technoblades in the season premiere, the ninja are now on the run from the Overlord's forces and forced to stay in the shadows. With nowhere else to turn, the ninja seek refuge with the newly reformed Sensei Garmadon at his monastery, where he practices the Art of the Silent Fist, or fighting without fighting. In addition to Garmadon's reintroduction, this episode features the proper introduction of Pixel, General Cryptor, and the fan-favorite Mindroid, while also featuring a very intense action sequence between the Garmadons and the Overlord's Mech Dragon. It's an all-around quality episode, and definitely one worth watching. Coming in at number 8, we have Winds of Change, the pilot of Ninjago Possession. Possession gets a lot of flack from the community for some questionable plot elements, but the strength of its premiere shines through despite all of that, mainly because these oddities haven't been introduced yet. This episode features the introduction of Moro, Sensei Wu's former pupil who has returned to the world of the living and takes possession of Lloyd's body. What follows is an amazingly tense action sequence as the ninja, without their elemental powers, are completely helpless against Moro's onslaught. Eventually, the ninja manage to escape on the bounty, but their victory is short-lived as Moro begins to pursue them on his own dragon. It's an episode heavy on tension and edge-of-your-seat thrills, and an excellent introduction to a polarizing season. The number 7 spot goes to The Curse of the Golden Master, a very significant episode of Ninjago Rebooted. After its return, people were unsure about Ninjago's status, both in terms of where it would go, and also how it would connect with what had come before. This episode answers both, as it brings Pythor the Serpentine, as well as the remaining Serpentine from the show, back into relevance. After their imprisonment underground, the Serpentine have taken up a new, civilized life and decide to help the ninja out by giving them a massive exposition dump, explaining what the Golden Master is, and providing some clarity on the Serpentine's history. Additionally, Lloyd and Garmadon continue their journey to the forest as they overcome many trials and eventually become cornered by the Overlord and Pythor, who successfully capture Lloyd. It's a pivotal episode and changes the tone of the season, and it's an excellent watch. Next up at number 6, we have The Last Resort, also from Ninjago Skybound. Similarly to Operation Land Ho, this episode successfully puts most of the cast on the back burner, and shines the spotlight on Jay and Nia, as they're forced to take refuge in the lighthouse and guard it against Notakon's incoming attack. It's an episode that takes a step back from the routine of the season thus far, and puts the relationship between these two on center stage, giving them some much-needed development to their interactions, while also simultaneously ramping up the drama and the tension. It's certainly one of Ninjago's more unique episodes, and definitely one of Skybound's highlights. The premiere of Tournament of Elements, The Invitation, takes the 5th spot on this countdown. Tournament of Elements was a very significant season and one of Ninjago's greatest in terms of quality, and the introduction perfectly establishes the stakes while also vastly expanding Ninjago's potential going forward with the introduction of the Elemental Masters, as well as some much needed exposition about the ninjas' elemental abilities, what they are, and how they got them. The premise is also immediately gripping as the ninja are split up and dejected, but must reunite to rescue Zane from the clutches of Master Chin and his followers. Most definitely an intro done right. The fourth spot has to go to TickTock from Ninjago's first full season. Ah, Zane, what a complex and interesting character. The revelation that Zane was actually a robot was a very significant plot twist that early into the show's lifespan, and would significantly affect the entire franchise from that point onwards. It was extremely well done, too, with plenty of heart, action, and characterization for Zane, as he became the first ninja to fully reach his true potential. Additionally, as if the episode wasn't already good enough, the ending piqued viewers' interest extremely as it marked Lord Garmadon's reintroduction into the series, which was of the utmost significance. It's a beloved episode by fans, and for good reason. TickTock isn't one to skip. As we move into the top 3, I feel that I'd be remiss to not include the original finale for Ninjago, Rise of the Spinjitzu Master. Now, once the series was announced to be coming to a close at the end of the Stone Army arc, fans eagerly tuned in to see what the showrunners had up their sleeves for a finale. It most certainly did not disappoint, with the Overlord taking stage as the main villain and the stakes raised to an all-time high. This finale delivered on pretty much all fronts, featuring a large amount of action and conflict as our heroes struggled against the Overlord's forces to save Ninjago City. It all culminated in Lloyd's fantastically epic battle against the Overlord as he became the ultimate Spinjitzu master and proceeded to, temporarily, decimate his adversary. Thankfully, Ninjago did return afterwards for more seasons, but had it stayed gone permanently, I think this episode would have been a good send-off. However, while the finale was definitely a quality episode, its direct predecessor, Return of the Overlord, narrowly beats it out. See, while Lloyd's conflict against the Overlord was certainly epic and satisfying, it was Lloyd's battle against his father, Lord Garmadon, that fans had been clamoring to see for the duration of the show's existence. With the Overlord's influence, that conflict came to fruition in a fantastic way, with the ninjas squaring off against their enemies in one epic battle which, ultimately, ended in defeat. Garmadon's true love and devotion towards his son also shone through, as the Overlord possessed his body to fight Lloyd himself, and was held up numerous times by Garmadon's efforts to save his son. Eventually, however, the ninja were defeated and the Overlord let loose his wrath upon the city, but thankfully his victory would be short-lived. It was an excellent episode which paid off a season's worth of character drama, while also laying the groundwork for the fantastic finale. One of the series' bests, for sure. That being said, the episode which takes the number 1 spot on this countdown is The Titanium Ninja, the finale of Rebooted. Now, Ninjago Rebooted is a season which gets a lot of flack from people. Many weren't enthused by the Overlord's return, or the technology-centric premise, and there are good arguments to be made against both of those things. But that being said, the season-long conflict was resolved phenomenally in this episode as the Overlord achieved the ultimate power he'd been seeking so desperately and began to lay waste to the world. The ninja fought desperately to stop him, but ultimately came up short, leading Zane to eventually sacrifice himself in order to save his friends as well as the whole world. Now yes, Zane did come back to the show shortly thereafter, although changed in numerous significant ways. But his sacrifice remains Ninjago's ultimate emotional moment all these years later, and it was very appropriate that in a season filled with vicious robots and nindroids, Zane would be the ninja to ultimately save the world. But those were just our thoughts. What are yours? Feel free to share your own top 10 Ninjago TV show episodes in the comments section below, and be sure to check out the TTV Message Boards at board.ttv channel for more Ninjago discussion. And additionally, if you liked this video and want to see more, please consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/the TTV channel. Every dollar helps to keep us making content for all of you to enjoy, and we greatly appreciate all the support. Until next time, everybody, farewell.